It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? A very happy Monday. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend. I know I did. Had a lot of fun. You might be watching us, listening to us on the FMAM dial, the Occupy Democrats Network, Washington Press Network. We're all over the place on Twitch, on TikTok, on YouTube, and, of course, my personal YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show. And we're so glad you make us a part of your day. I had a fun weekend myself, spent some time with some good friends, and yesterday on an Easter Sunday and over the weekend, I actually had a really fun date on Saturday, believe it or not. Yes, I went out, had a good time, and of course, some rest and relaxation, watched some great college basketball. And then last night, as I do every night before I put the show together, I'm covering all the news and everything, because I try to stay away from the news at least for a 24-hour period. Otherwise, I go crazy over the weekend. And then I see all the happenings and everything that's going on, and it brings me great sorrow. Had to do some sad piano music in the background. I don't know why I laugh at this music. I do. I'm very sorry to announce, ladies and gentlemen, that Donald Trump's Truth Social company posted its new financials to the SEC today. They were not very good. Yes, for all you Trump supporters out there, and maybe even some of you that invested some of your hard-earned money into the stock of Truth Social, I have some very bad news to report to you. The firm generated just $4.1 million in revenue for all of 2023, while racking up, wait for it, $58 million in net losses. The market cap was estimated at $6 billion. Shares of Truth Social and Trump Media Technology Group plunging today after these figures were disclosed. The figures underscore why some experts have warned Trump's media multi-billion-dollar valuation certainly defies logic and is reminiscent of the meme stock craze. Very, very sad news, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very sorry to Donald Trump and his family. So now he's selling Bibles during Holy Week, of course, to cover his bills while manipulating the stock market with what many would call a pump and dump, or what Stormy Daniels would call a 15-second pump and dump. But that's another story for another show, ladies and gentlemen. Very sad, and I'm very sorry to all of you Trumpers out there and you MAGA morons that have donated money to the Trump campaign. And I'm sorry we had to play that very sad music for you. It's very sad. So I'm sorry to all of you out there. Very sad. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be honest with you. I was thinking of going in studio today. As my producer said, I should have done it. I was thinking of going in studio today wearing a MAGA hat and decked out in MAGA gear and saying, I have a change of heart. I think I'm going to vote for the liable rapist. I think I'm going to vote for Orange Cheeto Jesus. I like his policies, and even though he's a rapist, I'm going to vote for the guy because I think he's a good man. He's a religious man with a good heart. I mean, he went to that officer's wake, so he must care, right? I mean, I was thinking of doing that today, decked out in all my MAGA gear, and then call it an April Fool's joke, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't put all of you through the pain, so I was considering it, but I decided not to do it last second. Donald Trump put out about 100 deranged social media posts over the weekend, attacking dozens of different people, including a judge's daughter, while comparing himself to Jesus. Yeah, he did do that. And, of course, skipping church again on Easter. He's the chosen one sent by God, right, ladies and gentlemen? It's pretty odd, though, too, and I wanted to talk about this, that Donald Trump made a post that he would beat Michelle Obama yesterday. That's really strange because there's no evidence that Michelle Obama is running for president. But yet he posted that he would defeat Michelle Obama in an election. And at the same time, Donald Trump Jr. posted on Instagram the conspiracy that she happens to be transgender. Yes, that's right. For the third year in a row, by the way, Donald Trump did not attend church on Easter. And before I get to this transgender stuff, because it just gets even more and more crazy by the moment, and I will talk about that in a few minutes because there's a lot of people on the far right, including Donald Trump's own son, who's claiming that Michelle Obama is transgender. Very bizarre. But I just want to read to you in the last several years, Donald Trump's posts on social media on Easter, wishing everybody a happy Easter. Now, obviously, President Joe Biden, not making it about politics, not bringing up Donald Trump, not bringing up Republicans. He's a good Catholic man who actually does go to church every week and knows how to hold a Bible upright. Joe Biden goes to church every Sunday. And by the way, I'm not saying you're a bad person if you don't go to church, but when you claim you're a religious person and you're a person of faith and you don't go to church, I find that to be a little strange. But I want to read to you a few of Donald Trump's Losing Truth Social Company posts that he's made on Easter. Joe Biden wished everybody a happy Easter. Here's the way Donald Trump wishes everybody a happy Easter. Happy Easter to all, including those that dream endlessly of destroying our country because they are incapable of dreaming about anything else. Those that are so incompetent, they don't realize that having a border and powerful wall is a good thing. I can go on, ladies and gentlemen, but he's attacking Democrats. This was a few years ago. He said, happy Easter to all, including crooked and corrupt prosecutors and judges that are doing everything possible to interfere with the presidential election. This guy, these are long tweets. This guy is so sick. Going back to April 2021, happy Easter to all, including the radical left crazies who rigged our presidential election and want to destroy our country. This man is so deranged, and he's so crazy. And speaking of deranged, Donald Trump shared a video on his Truth Social, and apparently it's not helping his stock, depicting Joe Biden as being hogtied in the back of a pickup truck. Now, folks, you can't make this stuff up. And when the Trump Organization was asked about this, which is obviously reprehensible to anybody, it's incitement of violence, they defended it. And then they deflected. Is there any reasonable person out there that would defend Donald Trump's comments just in the last couple days? Going after a judge's daughter? Putting up pictures of a judge's daughter, the judge presiding in one of his cases? A video of some Trump supporters driving a pickup truck, and in the back of that pickup truck, images of Joe Biden hogtied? Listen, if there were images of Donald Trump hogtied, I would be criticizing that as well. It's despicable. Imagine, close your eyes for a moment, unless you're driving. Imagine during the Barack Obama years, imagine if one of Barack Obama's political rivals, we could be talking about Mitt Romney, we could be talking about John McCain. Imagine if it was 5 or 6 months before the election and Barack Obama put up on social media a picture of John McCain hogtied, or Mitt Romney. What would Republicans be saying about that? Well, obviously, every single one of them would have a problem with it, and they would be right. It would be, now, Barack Obama would never do something like that, but I just give you an example. This is the good Christian man, right? This is the ones that on the evangelical right. These are the types of people that support Donald Trump. It just seems to me that Donald Trump keeps going lower and lower. What's going to be next? What is going to be next? It's so mesmerizing to me. And I keep saying this over and over and over again, that even if you like some of Donald Trump's policies and you're a Republican and you don't like Joe Biden, okay, I get that. You don't want to vote for Joe Biden. Fine. I will disagree with you probably politically. I will disagree with you probably on a lot of policy, but I still understand and respect. How can any person, any Donald Trump supporter, defend this sort of behavior, which is clearly inciting violence? And then we wonder why something like January 6th happened. And the fact that the Trump campaign is defending this sort of stuff is disgusting and mesmerizing, and my understanding is the FBI is already investigating this. Now, I don't think anything's going to come about. Having a current president, an imagery of him hogtied, it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you are on. This cannot be acceptable. This type of behavior cannot be acceptable. First of all, there are crazy people in society that will carry out these types of things or will attempt to. Just like there were a bunch of crazy people that attempted to overturn the outcome of a free and fair election in 2020 called January 6th. By the way, it wasn't a tourist visit. And I do find it interesting that all those officers that were injured, and some of those officers, sadly, that lost their lives, suicide months later, I find it interesting that Donald Trump didn't go to any of those wakes. Donald Trump didn't reach out to any of those families. In fact, he called the people, some of whom committed those horrible, violent crimes, patriots. He called some of those people that are in jail right now hostages. Why is that? Because Donald Trump only cares about himself, and he knows that's the base of the people that vote for Donald Trump. Those are the kinds of people. Stand back and stand by. Why would he make a statement like that? Because he knows those are the types of people that are Donald Trump's most staunch supporters. That's why. And so many of people that support him love this type of imagery. They love incitement of violence. They love to see Donald Trump gagged. They'd love to see Donald Trump hogtied. They get off on this sort of stuff. And this is the base of Donald Trump, his fans, his loyalists, his supporters. Now, they're not the type of people that you'll see at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump hates most of his supporters. But this is the base for Donald Trump. They love to see this type of imagery. And I also find it interesting that, and we're going to talk about this, and I want to define, what I think is bigotry, because I got into this with a lot of people over the weekend. But on Easter Sunday, as we know, it was Trans Day of Visibility. And to give people a little bit of history on Trans Day of Visibility, it's landed on the same day for the last 15 years, which is March 31st. That same day it's been going on for 15 years. What is Trans Day of Visibility? What does it mean? Well, it's pretty simple. It means we see you, we respect you, and we don't want to go after people because they might be different than us. It's about respect, you being visible, recognizing you as an equal. And just because your sexuality might be different, or because you're transgender and you might be different than me, I see you, you're visible to me, I respect you, and I will treat you as an equal. That's what Trans Day of Visibility is all about, because this is a group of people, as I mentioned over and over again, that have been discriminated against, that sadly are still discriminated to this very day because of disgusting human beings like the Candace Owens of the world and the Matt Walshes of the world. They're despicable people. They make money off of their bigotry. This day has landed every single day on March 31st. Easter usually lands on a different day every year. But people on the far right just can't seem to handle that, right? They can't seem to understand that. They can't seem to grasp it. They can't seem to enjoy their day of Easter without knowing that today is also Trans Day of Visibility, because they're morons. That's why. They're bigots. They're idiots. Oh, well, I can't celebrate my day because you know what? You know how dumb that sounds? Let me explain to you how stupid these people are. That would be like if my birthday is on April 1st, but I know somebody else that's celebrating their birthday on April 1st, so that bothers me because I can't truly celebrate my birthday because I know somebody else on this day is celebrating their birthday. Sounds ridiculous, right? It is, because these people are morons. That's why. They're bigots and they're idiots, and they're trying to figure out any kind of way to attack Joe Biden. Please explain to me how Trans Day of Visibility took away anybody celebrating Easter. I went to a family's home, one of my friends, and we gathered together. We didn't talk about Trans Day of Visibility. Guess what? If we did, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Didn't take away from our celebration and us having a good time. So why would it take away from anybody else having a good time? It doesn't. Guess what? I know this might be really hard for some of you right-wing bigots to understand, but I'll spell it out for you, okay? If you don't want to celebrate Trans Day of Visibility, don't celebrate it. If you don't want to be transgender, then don't be trans. If you don't believe in gay marriage, then don't be gay and don't have a gay marriage. If you don't believe in abortion, then don't have an abortion. Why is that so hard for people? Why do you want to interfere in other people's lives? Why? I'll tell you why. Because these people are bigots. Because they want to interfere in other people's lives. Hence, so many Republicans out there that think being gay is a sin. And they can't just have their Easter Sunday and enjoy it with their friends and family. But because this day also lands on Trans Visibility Day, they want to attack transgenders. They want to attack Joe Biden. It's nonsense. It's a lie. And these people are bigots. And I said it on social media. And some people that even I consider friends, I said, you have bigoted views. Why do I say that? Because it's Trans Day of Visibility, but you think the sky is falling and it takes away from you celebrating Easter, which obviously it doesn't. With your own insecurities, it doesn't. You can't go after Joe Biden for a number of different things, so let's go after Joe Biden and make up a lie and say, oh, he's attacking Easter, when it's Donald Trump is the guy that didn't go to church yesterday. Donald Trump is the guy that doesn't go to church on Easter. If you want to talk about religion and Christianity, it's Joe Biden that goes to church every Sunday. He's the practicing Catholic. Donald Trump is the practicing sinner, the liar in chief. He was more concerned, the former liar in chief. He was more concerned in the morning yesterday, I guarantee you, on how many layers of orange makeup he would put on than going to church, because he didn't. I mean, it's so disgusting. And yesterday on social media, Michelle Obama was trending, not just because Donald Trump was saying how badly he would beat her in an election, which, by the way, I don't believe he would. But another reason why Michelle Obama was trending yesterday is because so many despicable people on the far right are calling her a man. There are people on the far right, and maybe that correlates with, Donald Trump saying he would defeat her if he ran against her, and then Trans Day of Visibility. I don't know how these people think they're so bigoted in nature. I don't know. But so many people on the far right on social media yesterday are calling Michelle Obama a man. Now, I don't care what Michelle Obama looks like. I'll say this. I think she's a very pretty woman, very intelligent, very educated, very well-spoken, very articulate. She's done a lot of things to help a lot of people, including kids. And I think she's beautiful. I think she's a beautiful woman. But even if I didn't think she was beautiful, who cares? There are people calling her a man. How vile and disgusting is that? And some people say it stems from this. Now, the late Joan Rivers, I thought, was an extremely talented comedian. Very funny. I saw her a number of times in person. Very funny lady. But, ladies and gentlemen, she was a comedian. For my MAGA people out there, it means she made a living telling jokes and trying to make people laugh. Now, some might say this joke might have been a little tasteless. Whatever. She's a comedian. But this was like a few weeks before Joan Rivers sadly passed away. And she made a joke about Michelle Obama. Have a listen to this.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Okay, so obviously Joan Rivers is making a joke. Anybody who has an IQ over 20, and sadly a lot of the MAGA crowd out there don't, but a lot of people on the far right are saying, look what Joan Rivers said. Joan Rivers is a comedian. She made a joke about Michelle Obama. Some could say it was, tasteless. I don't know. But she made a joke, and of course I didn't think anything of it. Who cares? But now Alex Jones and those on the far right believe it to be true. And I don't even think they believe it to be true. It's just an opportunity for them to be hateful and to be disgusting. So Rabbi Shmuley, who is someone that makes the rounds on TV, a guest on Alex Jones' show, and Rabbi Shmuley was going after Alex Jones and challenging him on what is a ridiculous statement, claiming that Michelle Obama is a man on all of days, the weekend of Easter Sunday, and on Trans Day of Visibility. So listen to this interaction.
Candace Owens said that she is a man. I'm asking you, and Candace Owens said, I will leave my show and give up my professional reputation if I'm proved wrong. I'm asking you, Alex Jones,
Yes.
is Brigitte Macron a man?
I think she's not just a man. He's a pedophile and he's ugly. He's got a big old Adam's apple.
Now they're talking about the president of France. And that conversation moved to Michelle Obama. And yes, he's right. Candace Owens said that if Macron is actually a man, she'll end her career. Now, obviously, a Candace Owens is making statements like that just, again, so she could get clicks and make money. She's despicable. Just like the Charlie Kirks and the Leo Terrells and Tommy Lawrence and these people, they make these types of ridiculous claims and statements just so they can sell their book and make money. Okay? So going after Michelle Obama, calling her a man, going after the president of France, you know, they make these types of statements. And again, on all of the days of Trans Day of Visibility, it's utterly disgusting. Where are the Republicans out there? I thought you guys, many of you call yourself good, wholesome Christians, right? Do you agree with this? Do you agree with this type of language? Do you agree with the fact that Candace Owens and all these other people continue to cross the line? They could be talking about Michelle Obama. They could be talking about the president of France, calling them trans, attacking the trans community, claiming that Joe Biden talking about Trans Day of Visibility somehow is an attack on the Christian faith and an attack on Easter. How the hell does that affect you? How the hell does that affect your family? How the hell does that affect you enjoying Easter on a Sunday? It doesn't. Just like when they go after drag queen reading, right? How does that affect you in your life? Or transgenders, or anybody having a transgender surgery. How does that affect you? How does that affect your life? It doesn't. Or gay people getting married. How does that affect you? How does that, if anything, negatively affect your life? It doesn't. But they want to interfere in your life. And they call themselves the party of less government. They call themselves the party of, we don't want government interfering in our lives. But if it comes to abortion, we want the government to tell all women what to do with their bodies. We don't want you to be allowed to be married if you're gay. If a gay couple walks into a bakery, that person who owns that bakery does not have to serve you. Oh, really? Why? Isn't that a bigoted view? Nope, that's what my religion tells me to do. By the way, a woman who's went viral on social media, she was just fired at a Starbucks in North Carolina because she refused to use the pronouns of he or she to someone that is transgender. She's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. Oh boy, do I have a lot of questions to ask her. How are your lives affected? You know, I can tell you transgenders don't affect my life in a negative way. People who are gay don't affect my life in a negative way. Do you know the types of people that affect my life in a negative way? Idiots and dumbbells that are Donald Trump supporters that I have run-ins with. They're the types of people that affect my life in a negative way. Not because they may or may not be gay, not because they may or may not be transgender, because they're idiots, they're morons. I don't care what their sexual orientation is. I don't care what they have between their legs. Why are Republicans obsessed with what is between your legs? Why? Why are Republicans obsessed with sex? Why are they obsessed with transgenders and transgender surgery? Why? That's not an important issue for us to be talking about. How negative it is. It's about a group of people, in this case, Trans Day of Visibility, that have been discriminated against. And you can't look me in the eye and tell me they're not. People who are gay, could be talking about people who are transgender, are not treated as equals in this country as a whole. I'm sorry. They're just not. They're looked at as being different. They're looked at as being weird. The Vivek Ramaswamis of the world with no medical credentials thinks that every single person that is transgender must be mentally ill. No. I think if you're buying Donald Trump gold sneakers and you're buying a Bible for $60, I think you're mentally ill. Or maybe you're just plain stupid. I don't know. But the idea that if you're transgender, you must be mentally unstable or mentally ill is so bigoted in nature. It's disgusting, and it's pathetic, and I've had it with these people, and I've had it with their bigotry. I've had it. Live your life. Do you. Stop telling other people what to do. Stop. I've had it. It is the platform of the Republican Party. Let's ban books. Let's not talk about the history of this country. Let's not talk about slavery. Let's not allow gay people to be married. Let's attack transgenders and call them all mentally ill. Let's go on the offensive and attack somebody if they might not look like me. Let's attack the minorities in this country. Let's go after those. Let's call all those that are undocumented in this country, let's call them all rapists. They're rapists and they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. Who said that? That's right. You're a good, wholesome Christian, Cheeto Jesus. I have had it with these people. They are so bigoted in nature. Who cares if Trans Day of Visibility landed so happens on the same day as Easter? Who cares? Any decent, reasonable person would say they don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody can call into this show and tell me how Trans Day of Visibility impacted you in a negative way. I'd love to hear. How has Trans Day of Visibility negatively impacted your weekend? What do you make of all the attacks on the Joe Biden and Joe Biden administration for talking about Trans Day of Visibility and, bringing that up on Easter Sunday? What do you guys think about that? What do you think about an image depicting Joe Biden being hogtied in the bed of a truck and the former president of the United States putting that type of imagery up on Truth Social? What do you think about that? Or Donald Trump's message on Easter, Happy Easter, and then going after all the Democrats and how the country's going in shambles and attacking people. What do you make about that? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with Christians in this country, many of them that happen to be Donald Trump supporters, going after Joe Biden and so upset that Trans Day of Visibility just happened to land on the same day as Easter? Are you okay with that? How do these people negatively affect your life? I'd love to hear. I'm going to open up the phone lines right now before we take a break because I'm fired up and I'm angry, and I've had it. I've had it with the MAGA right. I've had it with their bigotry. I've had it with their hatred. I've had it with their defense of Donald Trump, curling up in a pretzel, trying to defend the despicable things that he says, the attacks on the Jewish community, the attacks on the Christian community. And here's what Christians should really be upset about. When a guy like Charlie Kirk says, if you don't vote Democrat, you're not a true Christian. But no, they won't be upset about that kind of statement. No, they won't be upset about an image of Joe Biden being hogtied in the back of a pickup truck. No, they won't be upset about that. They're upset that yesterday happened to be Trans Day of Visibility. Are you effing kidding me? How many bigots there are in this country and how many people in this country are comfortable with their bigotry? Are you kidding me? I have had it with the far right. I have had it with their judgments on other people. They want to call themselves good Christians. What do you think Jesus would say? Huh? What would Jesus say about Donald Trump selling a Bible for $60? What would Jesus say about Donald Trump and all those on the far right attacking transgenders, what it seems to be on a daily basis, attacking people that might be different than them? What do you think Jesus would say about that for all you wholesome Christians out there? You all suck. That's what I think. You all suck. All you MAGA moron evangelical Christians, you all suck. You're all judgmental of other people. Why don't you all look in the mirror, the fact that you support a liable rapist? How do you even look at your kids? How do you look at your wife or husband? Hey, I support a liable rapist, a sexual abuser, but I call myself a good, wholesome Christian. Screw all of you. I'm sure Donald Trump would like to do that to your wives, but hey, that's the good, wholesome Christian, right? The guy that didn't go to church yesterday. The number to call, 702-221-7283. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and take your phone calls. That number to call is 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. And again, a number of questions I'm asking you all. How does it feel to all of you on Easter Sunday when the former president, who some of you support, is endorsing imagery of Joe Biden being hogtied, is attacking everybody on the left, not going to church? attacking transgenders, which so many people did yesterday and throughout the weekend, and what they continue to do, by the way, on Trans Day of Visibility. How do you feel about that? Again, that number, 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. So we're going to take some phone calls on the other side. Give us a buzz, agree or disagree. I want to hear from you. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be back right after this. You are listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Trump won and you know it.
That's right. A lot of the people that sing this song are the same idiots that are going after Trans Day of Visibility. They're the same idiots that think drag queens are, the worst thing that can happen to our kids with drag queen reading. They're the same morons that are probably trying to invest in Truth Social. Their stocks have plummeted, and they've lost last year close to $60 million. The same idiots that buy the Donald Trump gold sneakers, the same morons who will spend $60 for a Bible and then will complain that eggs cost too much money. These are dopes. These are deplorables. Hillary Clinton was exactly right. These are very unintelligent people, uneducated idiot deplorables who are bigots. And I seem to waste my time on occasion going after them on social media. But I do laugh, too, because there are some people that are obsessed with me. Some of these MAGA people are crazy obsessed with me in the show, which I guess is a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing, but I kind of do laugh at them. What have we been talking about? We've been talking about how the right is going after Joe Biden. God forbid he mentions Trans Day of Visibility, which has landed on the 31st for the last 15 years. Easter lands on a different day of the year just about every year, but yet somehow they take that as an attack on Easter, which is absurd. We've been talking a little bit about that. And, of course, Donald Trump's Truth Social going down the toilet. We're taking your phone calls at 702-221-7283. I know the phone lines are jam-packed busy. Keep trying, and we will continue to take your calls. Let's start off with someone who is transgender who wanted to chime in on this. Her name is Brenda. Brenda, thank you for calling in.
Hi, thank you for having me. A couple things. One, I'm listening to you on Occupy Democrats. I'm all the way on the other side of the country in southern Indiana. You're driving me insane. Don't use transgenders as a noun. It is an adverb.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm confused. My only goal to start the show today was to talk about people who are attacking people like you. Well, hold on. I'm confused. I'm defending people like you, and I'm angry at people that are attacking people like you on a day that I think you should be visible. And you're saying you have a problem with a pronoun that I used? Help me out here.
To a lot of us, when you say transgenders,
yes,
using it as a noun, that's insulting.
Okay, so
it's
I'm gonna.
Adverb.
Okay, understood. Okay, so I'm gonna try to be respectful here. Okay.
So every time you say it, it makes me cringe inside. So, but beyond that, you're doing a great job, and I thank you.
Okay, I appreciate you saying that, but aren't there more things that are more important than whether I say?
Absolutely, but to a lot of people, it just makes us cringe and it hurts.
Okay, well, I don't know. Okay, so listen, I don't know what it's like to be transgender. I don't know what it's like.
Of course you don't.
I don't know what it's like to be the victim of discrimination when it comes to my sexuality or whether I'm transgender or not. I'll be honest with you, I don't, and I do listen to people like you, but at the same time, I kind of raise my eyebrows and say, I don't want people like you to be discriminated against, and I think that's far more important than a radio host using the word transgender or transgenders. I don't see what the difference is.
Yeah.
I don't.
And of course you don't. And that's part of how education works, is by somebody sharing these little things, it helps everybody.
Okay, so I'm talking about the entire transgender community. I'm trying to understand why that would help me understand why that would bother you, or you say makes you cringe, if a radio host who is clearly on your side when it comes to social issues says transgenders with an S instead of transgender. I'm just trying to understand why that would offend you. Why wouldn't you be more offended by the people that are going after you because you're transgender? I'm trying to understand.
Because it's part of the objectification of us that is used by the people who dislike us.
Okay, but I'm not one of those people. I hear you. I
understand.
I'm glad you said that. So here's the part that I understand and the part that I don't. If somebody is a hateful person, or in this case, somebody who attacks somebody like you, just because you're transgender, I find those people despicable. I'm sure you do as well. So if somebody like that, right, of course, we're on the same page there. So if somebody says transgender or transgenders, Okay, I get why that might bother you because it's somebody that's coming from a hateful place. But why would that bother you from somebody that's not?
Because when we fall into their language patterns, then we as a group are allowing them to control the language. And that is part of the problem. When we let them control the language, then we let them control the narrative.
Well, I'm not controlling any language. That's not who I am. I guess this is the point I'm trying to make, Brenda. I appreciate you calling in, and you certainly have a right to your opinion. I think when it comes to issues of people who are transgender, I think this should be last on the priority list. I'm not going to tell you how to think. You have the right to feel the way you feel. But I think there are many people who are transgender that would agree with me on this, that there are far more important things talking about the transgender community than somebody who's on your side using the word transgender or transgenders. In everything that I've said.
You are right, but it's part of a whole.
Okay. Well, Brenda,
Just
I
like when we deal with the Michelle Obama issue.
Two different things.
Okay, that is part.
Two different things.
But it's all interact.
I could not disagree with you more on this. This is where we 150% disagree. When you have people on social media that are calling Michelle Obama a man, you have people on social media that are calling her trans because they're hateful, ignorant people, and you have a radio host like me saying transgenders instead of transgender. Don't put me in that category. That's offensive. I am not that kind of person.
I am not putting you in that category.
Then why are you comparing the two?
Not.
Then why are you comparing the two?
They are, but when they are putting her over there in order to help control a narrative. They are help to control the language, control the narrative.
So if I say transgenders instead of transgender, I'm putting together a narrative. I don't know.
You're helping them in controlling the narrative.
I respect Brenda.
They are.
I appreciate you calling in, and I appreciate you sharing your opinions. I respect your opinions. A part of me agrees with you, but a part of me really disagrees with you. You want to know what my narrative is, Brenda? If you've been listening to this segment, I would assume you were. Here's my narrative, and I don't care whether maybe you care. I don't care whether somebody says transgenders or transgender. I don't care. I think most people wouldn't care. I respect the fact that if you care, fine. There is a line where people say it goes too far. I will call you he or she because I'm going to be respectful of you. Now, you want to know my personal feelings? I'll tell you my personal feelings. I believe if you're born a man, you're a man. If you're born a woman, you're a woman. However, I lean to the left on the thought process of if you want to be called a he or a she, I will absolutely be respectful to you and call you that. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Yeah, I mean somebody's saying, what do we call a group of transgenders? What do you call a group of transgenders? I think that's a very fair question.
You call them a group of transgender people.
Okay, so what do we call a group of transgenders? What do we call them?
A group of transgender people.
Okay, I mean you could call them that. I mean that's fine. You're entitled to that, and I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you, Brenda. I just think sometimes it goes a little bit too far with people who are offended by certain things. If you are treated differently because of your sexuality or because you're transgender, we should all be upset at that. But when somebody says transgenders instead of transgender, and that irks you and that gets you that angry, then I don't know how you get through life. That's just my personal opinion. Plus, I'm one of those people that's on your side. It's frustrating, but I appreciate you calling in. We just happen to have a disagreement. One phone line open, 702-221-7283. I wonder if people agree with what she was saying or not, what Brenda was saying. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Kathleen, who's next. What's up, Kathleen?
I'm doing good. How are you, Brian? I respect what you say, and I agree with you 100%.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
The people out there, I think they're just so irate and get tired of people calling them and putting them down and describing them. We are all human beings, whether God made us, God made them, and there's no mistake about it. And these people, these haters, I am so tired of all this talk about it. This isn't even a political issue. It shouldn't be a political issue with the Republicans.
No, you're right. You're right. And I will add that many of these Republicans out there, they say they don't want government involvement in their life, but they're the opposite of that. They're such hypocrites. They want to tell women what to do with their bodies. They want to tell you that being gay is a sin. They don't want gay people to marry one another. It's really sickening. And they all look up to their cult leader, who, by the way, did not go to church yesterday. And I wouldn't even be bringing that up because I'm not sure it's that important. But I wouldn't be bringing it up, and but many of the people on the alt-right that are very religious, they think Donald Trump is this good, wholesome Christian. There are actually people out there that believe that. This guy doesn't even go to church at all, let alone on Easter Sunday. He'll hold the Bible upside down. He'll sell Bibles for $60. And these cult members of Trump, which many of them are, they actually buy into the BS. They buy into it. This guy could show up at a wake, and all of a sudden he cares about police officers, yet the same police officers that were beaten by his own supporters, he calls them hostages and patriots. These people are just stupid people. I mean, I really don't know what else to say. They're gullible, stupid people that are duped every day by Cheeto Jesus, right? I mean, I don't know what else to say, Kathleen.
I don't like to say that too, but they are stupid, ignorant. They should be reading up on things before they think and say things out loud. I mean, to call Michelle Obama, what is wrong with these extremists?
I'll tell you, Kathleen. I'll tell you why. You want to know? Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, but let's focus on Michelle Obama for a moment. She is a black woman, a woman of color, a minority who made something of herself. Now, my personal opinion, and looks shouldn't matter, but I think she's beautiful. I think she's a beautiful lady.
Yes.
She's educated. She has a law degree. Here's a powerful black woman, and I'm going to tell you something.
Right, and they don't like that.
There you go. There you go, Kathleen. That's exactly what I was going to say. God forbid a Letitia James, God forbid a black woman in some sort of power. They feel threatened.
And Donald Trump hates it.
Oh, he hates it. Any woman, for that matter.
He hates people that make him look more foolish than what he is.
You're absolutely right.
He doesn't have a brain in his brain at all.
No, you're right.
He's
you're right.
Disgusting human being, and I can't believe, and God will pay him back 10 times because he certainly won't be going to the kingdom of God. That's for sure.
He'll be
these people that follow him, they won't be either. I mean,
well, I can't speak to that, but I can speak to this and say history is not on their side. And I think MAGA world is going to be over in November. At least let's hope so.
I pray. I'm telling you what, that's my birth year, and I says they better vote the blue because we get the blue wave. Because
well, it sounds to me you're not going to be buying those gold sneakers and that $60 Bible. It's very unfortunate.
Really?
Yeah. Very unfortunate.
My son bought me a joke for Christmas, a Trump mug, and I said, well, maybe I can find a sucker that'll buy it for $99.99 as a joke because I don't.
Just find the people that, Kathleen, thank you so much for the phone call. Just find the people that are complaining about eggs and gas prices, and that's probably the same person that'll buy a mug for $99. And just, I'm sure. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Joseph. Joseph is next up on Pushing Limits. Hi, Joseph.
Yeah, hey, Brian. First of all, I'm about as upset as you are when it comes to Trump and him going to the wake of a New York police officer who got killed. I mean, this is probably the same guy who sends January 6th rioters to the Capitol and attacked those police officers, including Brian Sicknick. I'm about as upset about that one as you are.
Sure. It's a tragedy. And he wasn't the only Capitol police officer that never was the same, since that very day. And it's amazing to me, Joseph, and I think you'll agree with me on how many Donald Trump supporters out there are duped every day. This guy goes to a wake of a cop, and by the way, my heart goes out to his family. It's a horrible situation, murdered on the streets, and somehow the governor shows up at the wake, and she's kicked out. Now, I believe the family has the right to kick out whoever they want to kick out, but It's unfortunate that you would invite somebody like Donald Trump, and then the governor wants to pay her respects, and they kick her out. I understand the family is grieving. It's a very emotional time, but how could you blame the governor? Unfortunately, police officers are killed in the line of duty. Too many of them. One is too many every year. There were hundreds of officers that were killed under the Trump administration. So does that mean every governor of every state where every police officer is killed should be kicked out of every wake? Well, I mean, at some point we have to say to ourselves, this shouldn't be political. It's about a horrible person who committed a horrible crime and took an innocent life and a hero's life. It's terrible. The governor didn't want it to happen. I would even go as far as to say Donald Trump didn't want it to happen either. And are there policies that can change? Are there things we can do in this country to make one another safer? Sure. We could talk about gun control. We could also talk about how people who are arrested time and time again shouldn't be let out of jail. Sure, we could talk about all those things. But, Donald Trump was the guy that coddled to the former director of the NRA, who's now shamed in a courtroom. But, people don't want to talk about that, and they want to blame the governor of New York for this killing. To me, it's just ridiculous.
I know. Speaking of Trump, the way all he's doing is he's using the death of that New York police officer as political points just to win the re-election, and that's why and not to mention that pickup truck with the bounding gag picture of Biden. I find that more disgusting.
How can anybody defend that? Did you see the response from the Trump campaign? I mean, they were using whataboutism. Oh, but what about what the Democrats do? Hey, I know that the Trump campaign, they're not going to criticize Trump for anything, but why can't Republicans in this country, even political, people that are, elected positions, say, hey, you know what, that was wrong. Hey, you know what, Trump shouldn't have, put out pictures of the judge's daughter presiding over the case. Hey, you know what, that was wrong. Instead, they answer by saying, oh, it happens on both sides. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I haven't seen a Democrat in office put up a picture of Donald Trump hogtied and put it up on social media. No, it doesn't. Not at the same extent of what Donald Trump and so many of these Republicans do. Have you seen, on Transgender Day of Visibility, people calling Melania Trump a man? I mean, it's ridiculous. And they try to compare the two and conflate the two and say, oh, it happens on both sides. No, it doesn't. Democrats didn't incite an insurrection. They didn't try to, change the outcome of a free and fair election in 2016. Republican MAGA supporters did that in 2020. And I'm so tired of how Republicans in office, they'll be put in a corner. Do you defend this language by Donald Trump? Do you defend what he did? And their answer is, well, we got to lower the rhetoric on both sides. Oh, stop it with your BS nonsense. Donald Trump is the guy that's inciting violence. It's not Democrats that are inciting violence. It's MAGA Republicans.
And speaking of Stormy Daniels for the trial that's coming up, I sure hope the only person I wish who would have been in court right now was E. Jean Carroll. Bring the same fear to Trump's eyes. That's what I want to see.
So I have a question for you, Joseph, okay? I'm going to start taking some bets on this. Maybe I'll be able to be an illegal bookmaker. I don't know, since I'm in Vegas. I'm going to put it up in the Brian Shapiro PTL Casino. I have an over-under. How long Donald Trump lasted with Stormy Daniels. I'm put the over-under at 14 and a half seconds. What do you take, my friend, the over or the under?
Oh, let's see. Even though I'm in California, so I say the odds for Donald. To me, I say the odds for Donald Trump, on trial will be none. Trump won't even stand a chance. Not with Stormy Daniels, not with E. Jean Carroll, and especially.
No. Hold on, Joseph. Let me explain my question again.
Okay, let me try again.
The over-under on how long you think Donald Trump lasted with Stormy Daniels in the sexual act. The over-under is 14 and a half seconds. That's how long he lasted in the sheets with Stormy Daniels. Do you take the over or the under?
Probably under.
There you go. Okay, that's the answer I was looking for, Joseph. Thank you. Thank you for the call, Joseph. I appreciate it, my man. Thank you. I take the under as well. I think we'll find out in a courtroom. And while there are more important things that I'm sure Bragg will be interested in getting to in front of a jury on April 15th, I think that might be one question. I think they will probably ask Stormy Daniels how long the act took. I'm taking the under as well. 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. Let's go to Roy. Roy is next on Push the Limits. What's up, Roy?
Hi, Brian. How you doing
hey,
today?
Good, man.
Couple of things. One, isn't it ironic that on April 15th his trial starts, and that's the day the taxes are due?
Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Well, just getting back to the company for a minute, it's like it's a meme stock. It has no value. It's down 13 or 14 points today already.
Correct.
But this company, I mean, even the CPAs who prepare their statements do not know if it's a viable company for much longer.
And, Roy, somebody made a statement to me and said that they were trying to compare the company to Amazon. They said, Amazon lost money the first 6 years they were. And I said, are you seriously comparing Amazon to Truth Social? Is that really the analogy that you're trying to make? I mean, what can I say?
No, it's like a stock that GameStop was a couple of years ago and AMC, where people were running it up for no financial reason at all.
Yeah, the only thing that's going up is Donald Trump's weight. The stock ain't going up. Trust me on that.
Yeah, well, talk about hogtied. There's a man who could be hogtied.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
It's just disgraceful. And what he does, and there's a reason he loves the poorly educated, because that's who basically is the bulk of his support. But I know I've said it before. The real disgrace in this country is how the Republican Party in Congress, which is made up mostly of lawyers and reasonably intelligent people, except for people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, that they still support him, and how they've quickly forgotten what it was like on January 6th. People like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and Elise Stefanik, they are absolutely disgraceful people.
I agree. Roy, I asked this question because I think it's a very fair question. I mean, go back to the days when Barack Obama was president. Let's just say when he was running against John McCain, right? And imagine if Obama put up a video on Twitter, back then when it was called Twitter, and I'm not saying you would see any of his supporters that would show imagery of John McCain hogtied. I don't think that would happen. I don't think it did happen, but I'm saying what if it did happen? And then Barack Obama decided to retweet or put up images of that. What do you think Republicans would say?
They'd have a hemorrhage.
They would. And by the way, rightfully so.
They will have a hemorrhage.
Yeah, rightfully so.
I agree.
And but yet imagery from the far right. And we see Kathy, is that her name? Kathy Griffin, the comedian. If you remember when she showed a severed head. Now again, she's a comedian. I didn't support that type of stuff. She was fired from CNN, but all the Republicans were head over heels and angry over that. But yet you can hogtie Joe Biden, and they have absolutely no problem with that. They're the biggest hypocrites in the world.
They are. It really, really is terrible. I'll tell you, I read another article, very interesting. Several attorneys have said with the crap that he's pulling with this judge in New York, with the judge's daughter.
Yeah.
Anybody else would have been tossed in jail for the crap he says and does. Yeah. He really needs to be taught a lesson.
You're right.
I think they should throw him in jail. Shut him up.
Listen,
he's a disgraceful human being. I'm really. It makes my head explode.
It makes my head explode also, and it's very upsetting and disappointing. And it's sad, but at the same time, we have to continue to call it out. It's not going to change some people's mind that are so brainwashed that watch their Newsmax and OAN and Jesse Waters every day. We're not going to change their minds, but we have to make sure that people that are independents, people that are reasonable Republicans, and there are plenty of them out there, or Republicans that have had enough, that if they don't vote for Joe Biden, make sure that they don't vote for Donald Trump. And then I think November is going to be okay, and we'll have to wait and see how it happens, Roy. And I do appreciate.
I hope so.
I hope so too, Roy. I appreciate your phone call, my friend. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. 702-221-7283. And again, that number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. Take one more call, then we'll go to break. Let's go to Gary. Gary, what's going on?
Everything and nothing. And your first caller made me cringe when they were done and didn't say April Fool's Day. I don't know. It's very difficult to become a hardcore independent thinker. I have harsh words for all these political parties and all these politicians. But you offended me when I saw you with Ed Bernstein. You offended me, and I thought we were better than that. You didn't even bother to take your hat off. I'm a member of the American League of Bald Men. And, you know, Ed's bald. It was good enough for him. It's just because you're too young. You know, you got to look sexy all the time.
It's not a bald thing. It's a style thing. I've been wearing hats since I was 15 years old, and I wasn't bald.
All right, I'll let that part go.
Okay, so let me start off
Yes.
by commenting on what you said about my first caller here. And the first caller who called in, her name is Brenda. She claims to be a transgender. I have no reason to believe she's not. And I'm talking about.
I'm going to bet money this was going to be an April Fool's joke.
Well,
For God's sakes, can you imagine hiring a person like that and putting them to work or renting them a home? No wonder there's so much,
well, hold on,
you know,
Gary. Hang on a second here, right?
pushback, whatever you
I
call
think there are people in society, especially those within the transgender community, because I don't want to offend Brenda, that have been the victims of discrimination. And I try to call that out because I want people to be treated as equals. But let me be very clear. If I use the term transgenders instead of transgender, they are not the victim of discrimination. That's not. I am not discriminating against them. And I'm sorry if Brenda feels that way, but she should probably focus her attention more on real discrimination, not a radio host who is, by the way, on her side, because I say transgenders.
I hate to agree with you, but you're absolutely right. That person needs some kind of psychological help.
Well, I don't know. I can't.
In more ways than one.
I can't speak to that. I just disagree with her. I think there are more important fish to fry, and I think Brenda agrees with me on this. But of all the important topics I discussed about going after Michelle Obama on Trans Day of Visibility and all the attacks on Trans Day, to the one thing.
There's people that are crazy on both sides of the aisle. I've said that to you before. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, but Gary, come on.
And you got to pick a side. You got to pick a side. You get paid to do this. My reason for calling you is
I don't get paid to pick a side. That's not true. I have strong opinions, and usually when it comes to important issues facing this country, I do take a side in a position. But I don't have to take a side. I'm a registered independent that leans to the left on social issues, and I don't have a lot in common with Republicans in 2024.
All right, well, I don't want to be petty, but next time you do the Ed Bernstein show, will you turn your coffee cup around so we could see? It says right on it, the Ed Bernstein show.
I'll consider it.
And you had to face it in the wrong way. Have a good day.
I'll consider that, Gary. Have a good day. What Gary is mentioning is I was on a TV show called The Ed Bernstein Show that aired yesterday. That's what Gary is referencing, by the way. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. And again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the program is 702-221-7283. So before we take a break, a little tease in the next segment. I'm going to talk about Baltimore's mayor. I think he's done a phenomenal job, by the way. And again, more attacks on the right going after the Baltimore mayor because of his race. I mean, it's really getting bad. Blaming the Biden administration for this bridge collapse. We'll get into that coming up next. You know, I talk a lot about immigration on this show. It seems like everybody's talking about immigration and the issues we have at the border. I met a great guy. His name is Leo, and he runs a business called Pioneer Air. It's been around, by the way, since the 1930s. And with summer around the corner, you want to make sure your air conditioning service is working and working properly, because it's when it's 120 degrees outside and all of a sudden your air conditioning turns off, you are in trouble. That happened to me once. I had to stay in a hotel for 3 days because my air conditioning stopped working. Well, over there at Pioneer Air, Leo and the gang, they do a phenomenal job. They do maintenance checks. And here's the great news. If you're a listener of this show, they will give you free maintenance checks for a year, free of charge, no catch. You just have to mention the name of the show. So let me give out this number. Call them at Pioneer Air. Please support my advertisers. They support me. I want you to support them. Pioneer Air, Leo's number. Ask for Leo, 702-213-5489. Here's the best part. This is a 24-hour emergency service line. You can call them at any time in the middle of the night, whatever the case may be. 702-213-5489. Call Pioneer Air. Tell Leo that I sent you. All right. Here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, attacks on the mayor of Baltimore. And now he's getting some flack by incorporating the N-word into the conversation. But I'll tell you how he's using it and what he's saying about those that are attacking him. We'll play that for you coming up next. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. You know, no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe to my YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show. Also, my website at PTL Radio. You can check that out. It's a pretty new website. Just put it up a few months back. Looking good. Could be watching on the Occupy Democrats Facebook page as well. Washington Press page. Subscribe to Occupy Democrats. It's only $5 a month, and trust me, it's well worth it. Check it out. And so glad you make us a part of your midday, late afternoon, depending on where you're watching, where you're listening, and, of course, on the FM AM dial at KSHP. Programming note for you. Tomorrow on the show, a young lady. She seems like a very nice lady, Christian lady. I think she's somewhere around 20 years old. I could be a year or two off there, but used to be employed at Starbucks. And since we are talking about transgenders, and pronouns, well, she refused to use certain pronouns for a transgender person. So, for example, if somebody is a transgender woman, she refuses to call that person a she. And because she refused to do so, Starbucks fired her. And now she's angry. And I said, why don't you come on and let's have a conversation about it? And I want to understand. So she's agreed to come on. This happened in North Carolina, and she's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. So it should be an interesting conversation, even though I don't necessarily agree with her. How often does that even happen in a Starbucks? It's bizarre. So we'll talk about that coming up tomorrow on the show. And, of course, yesterday being the Trans Day of Visibility, it lands on the 31st every year, been going on for 15 years. And Easter, while always lands on a Sunday, doesn't always land on the same date. In this case, it landed on the 31st. So people are looking at Joe Biden on the far right as, oh, my God, he's attacking our sacred day, Easter, because it's also Trans Day of Visibility. Those people are idiots. Okay, they're morons. I don't know what else to tell you. Those are the same people that think that, drag queens are, killing our kids. I don't know what to say. So we talked a little bit about that. Of course, the Stormy Daniels hush money case is coming up on April 15th. That's going to be very, very interesting. We do have some special guests coming up here in the next few weeks. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be joining us. Dr. McCullough, who is a heart specialist, but the far right sees him as some sort of hero because of his attacks on vaccines every day. Dr. McCullough has agreed to come on our show next week. We also have Anthony Scaramucci, who's booked to be on the show next week. So we got some very big guests that are lined up here over the next few weeks to join us. So while Baltimore is going to try to rebuild and Joe Biden administration, Pete Buttigieg already visiting the site, they're going to rebuild that bridge in Baltimore. Strong group of people in Baltimore. And they are going to recover from this. Sadly, 6 innocent individuals lost their lives that day, and it's a tragedy. It's terrible. 6 immigrants who, quite frankly, were working jobs that a lot of Americans would refuse to do. They were fixing potholes, dangerous situation on a bridge in the middle of the night. And from what I've heard from their families and sound bites that I've heard about them, really hardworking people that cared about their families. And that's why they were up there on that bridge. They weren't up there on that bridge because they loved to be up there. It appeared to me they certainly loved to be in this country, and they loved the freedom to be in this country and to work and make a living and take care of their family. But, a horrible tragedy. And I can't imagine, quite frankly, a worse way to go than to be trapped in your own car while drowning. So my heart goes out to the families and the victims. It's a horrible situation. It was an accident. This wasn't done on purpose, like idiots on the far right will lead you to believe. This was an accident. It had nothing to do with DEI. That's a term that right-wingers use, to hide their racism. They come up with these really smart, DEI. It had nothing to do with immigration. It had nothing to do with race. It had nothing to do with infrastructure or the open borders like some idiots on the far right would lead you to believe, because they're struggling and they're trying to find anything to go after Joe Biden for. It had to do with a malfunction on this ship where they lost power and they lost steering. And by the way, the 2 people that were the commanders of that ship are heroes. Why? Because they put in the Mayday, They did everything they were supposed to do in that situation, and it saved lives. Innocent lives that would have been more people up on that bridge did not die. And the reason why they did not die is because of the Mayday that was put forth seconds before that large vessel hit the bridge. It was a terrible accident. And I can't think of any bridge in the country that would not have collapsed with that type of situation. So obviously I'm stating the obvious here, right? We've heard the conspiracy theories on the far right, and I named a few of them. And it's despicable, right? We saw the same thing when Paul Pelosi was attacked by a hammer, right? We saw the exact same thing where it was a gay relationship because these right-wingers are obsessed with gay people. I don't know why. He allowed him into his home. Obviously, that was debunked, and that was a complete lie as well. The first reaction to any normal human being, and sadly, many of these people on the far right, there's nothing normal about them, but the bottom line is that a normal reaction is, oh my God, this is terrible. My heart goes out to the families of the victims. This is terrible. Let's support the mayor. Let's come together as Americans, and let's support the victims, and let's rebuild this bridge in Baltimore, right? Obviously, that's a normal reaction. But today, the far right reacting to something like this is conspiracy theories, because that's what the Alex Joneses of the world and so many others do, and then putting blame on Joe Biden. Again, it's despicable. Now, I think the mayor of Baltimore is doing a phenomenal job. He's a very well-spoken, articulate guy. He's been involved in politics since he was a teenager. Really, really well-spoken man and very educated, and I think he's handled everything the best way he can, and Baltimore's done a nice job. They elected a really good mayor, and they should be proud of that. But the attacks coming from the right, the attacks on this guy are so vile and disgusting. So the mayor did a interview on MSNBC over the weekend, and he was talking about DEI and the conspiracy theories being put forth by the right on how DEI may have played a role in this bridge collapse, which, by the way, it didn't. It's absurd. And I want you to listen to what he had to say because I think it resonates with a lot of people. Have a listen to this.
And what they mean by DEI, in my opinion, is duly elected incumbent. We know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them.
Interesting. I agree with everything he said. Maybe I don't have the guts to say what he said. There are people out there that look at this mayor and see him as the N-word. But as he said, they don't have the guts to say it. So instead, they'll use the term DEI. It's the new word that those on the far right are using. And I personally believe that the mayor is 100% correct in what he is saying. You know, when you look at these types of situations and issues of race, I hear Charlie Kirk talk about these types of things all the time in his bigotry and hatred. And Charlie Kirk was recently on the UNLV campus here. I did not know about it. If I did, I would have been there because I would have loved to have had an interaction with him. So Charlie Kirk was speaking on the UNLV campus, and I do find it interesting that he speaks on college campuses, yet he speaks against going to college and getting an education because Charlie Kirk is uneducated. He does not have a college degree. And when people bring up racism, and they bring up systemic racism, which, yes, I do believe it exists in society. I think it's evident that it exists. Charlie Kirk always brings up the fact that, black people represent under 15% of everyone in this country, yet they're over 50% of murders and crimes. You don't have to be an extremely intelligent person to be able to out-debate Charlie Kirk with facts, right? And evidence. Well, that stat might be true. And while I would never defend a murderer because there's a lot of people that grow up poor and maybe they don't grow up from great families and they don't end up being murderers. So I'm not defending murderers. What I am saying is a big part and a big reason why so many minorities in this country are involved in gang violence, hanging out with the wrong people. Some of it has to do with poverty and where they grow up in, and they grow up in very crime-ridden cities because they're poor, bad neighborhoods. Another issue is, of course, those that are without both parents. Maybe they're raised with one parent that isn't a good parent figure, or maybe other reasons as well. There are a lot of reasons for it, right? And I think somebody that is semi-intelligent, that is not a racist, would probably tell you the same thing. But when Charlie Kirk gives out that kind of statistic, what he is trying to do is paint black people as horrible people. He's trying to paint black people as the criminals and white people the saints, because Charlie Kirk is a racist. When Candace Owens wears a shirt that says "White Lives Matter," she's not doing it because she's a racist, because I don't think Candace Owens is a racist. I don't think Candace Owens is anti-Semitic. Candace Owens is only doing that for reaction. There are people that'll spread their bigotry and their hatred because they want to make money and they want to get clicks. Now, I believe Charlie Kirk, while he wants clicks and wants money, I've always believed Charlie Kirk is a blatant racist and a bigot. Candace Owens just uses bigotry and hatreds and hate speech to get clicks so that she can sell books and make money. There's no redeeming quality in Candace Owens, in my opinion. She's despicable. But I'm not going to do what right-wingers do. I'm not going to attack her looks. I'm not going to say she's trans or she's a man. I wouldn't talk like that because I don't care what Candace Owens looks like. A lot of people do. A lot of people on the right do, because they see a black woman and they see an opportunity. And it's why they give her a platform, because she's a conservative who happens to be black, who makes bigoted, ignorant statements about those who are gay, those who are transgender, and even those who are black. So Republicans see her as an opportunity. I see her as an opportunist. And when I look at the mayor of Baltimore, I look at somebody who deserves to be there. I look at somebody who made something of himself, an educated man, intelligent, with a tremendous amount of political experience. He started his career in politics as a teenager. And listen to the man speak at a press conference. He is as well-spoken as any politician I've heard. Very articulate. Always talks about the families and the victims. Always. The opposite of Donald Trump, who only calls himself the victim. If Donald Trump was the mayor of Baltimore, he would say, "Oh, woe is me, the Democrats did it to me." The first thing that this mayor talks about is the victims, the true victims, which is not the economy. While the economy is taking one into the crapper because of this bridge collapse, that's not appropriate to talk about that first. You can talk about it. First thing you should be talking about is the loss of life. That's exactly what this mayor is doing. You know, and any time a police officer loses his or her life, it's an ultimate tragedy. And, you know, this guy who was murdered in New York City, it's horrible. He was doing his job. He has a newborn baby, a wife. Their lives will never be the same. And that's the one thing Donald Trump said that I agree with. It's not one policy or a Democrat policy or a lack of policy for why this police officer was murdered. Now, you can make the argument, oh, this guy's been arrested 7 times, 8 times. The reason why it's not the governor's fault and it's no blame on Republicans or Democrats is because when you look at the history of this country and you look at officers that have lost their lives, sadly, many of the people that commit these horrible acts and murder a cop have long police records. Now, would I like Republicans and Democrats to come together? And if you're convicted time and time and time again, should you be behind bars? Yes. Do I think Republicans and Democrats need to come together to come up with policies to make sure that these horrible human beings are not on the streets? Yes. But to put the blame on Democrats or Joe Biden, it's like when all these police officers lost their lives under the Trump administration, I didn't hear Democrats blaming Donald Trump. And I wasn't one of those people either. I didn't blame Donald Trump for all these officers that lost their lives. But my question would be, where was Donald Trump at those funerals? Why wasn't he reaching out to those families? You think Joe Biden doesn't care? If there's one thing, you can criticize Joe Biden all you want to until the cows come home. But if there's one thing that I give Joe Biden all the credit in the world for, it's having compassion. Being a decent human being who has compassion for others. Of course Joe Biden cares. Brian, why wasn't he at the funeral? I don't think presidents should go to funerals of fallen officers because it's political. You're making it political. I think you should stay away. And I understand that in this situation, my understanding is that the widow asked Donald Trump to be there. But it doesn't change my opinion. It's one thing to reach out to a family and give them a call, which, by the way, Donald Trump does whenever you lose a brave man or woman in uniform. Joe Biden seems to be the first person that reaches out to that family and calls them because he has compassion, because he's a decent human being. But if you listen to Charlie Kirk, he says Trump went way out of his way to go to this wake. If this was something that Donald Trump wanted to do and he didn't want to make it about him, then why did he make it public and why did he hold a press conference afterwards? Please answer that question for me. There should be no press conference after a wake. If you notice in even celebrity funerals, do they hold press conferences after the funeral? No. They want it to be private. So even if Trump was invited, and even if Donald Trump decides to go, why hold a press conference and allow the media to be there? Because he used an officer's death as a photo opportunity. That's why. And it's despicable. And it's disgusting. Just like all those people that were attacking Joe Biden and so angry that Easter happened to land on the same day as Trans Day of Visibility. Because they're despicable. Because they're disgusting. And now you have this mayor of Baltimore that is dealing with the evil racism coming from the far right, trying to correlate this bridge collapse and his hire as a DEI hire, trying to blame the bridge collapse on the Biden administration, trying to blame the bridge collapse on rust that might have been on the bridge, on infrastructure. Blame it on Pete Buttigieg. Folks, where are we as a country? Can we show compassion for loss of life? Can we show compassion for whether it be a police officer that is murdered on the streets or 6 innocent individuals that were killed on a bridge doing their job and not make it political? When I talk about gun control on this show and I talk about innocent lives that are lost and gun violence, I'm talking about guns not because it's an opportunity to go after one side of the aisle, because I want change. Because I don't want innocent children to be mowed down in our schools. I want change. I want policy change. I want to make it harder for bad people to get their hands on guns. I'm not making it political. I'm making it as a precedence that should be a priority in this country to do something about all the gun violence. When Republicans talk about the open border, as they call it, after this bridge collapse, are they doing it because they want policy change? Or are they doing it because they really think that an open border allegedly had something to do with this bridge collapse? Ask yourself that question. It's absurd. Take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Caitlin Clark. Wonderful basketball player, but I think some people are taking it a little bit too far when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Some people are going to disagree with me on this take, but that's fine. I'll also open up the phone lines at 702-221-7283. Again, if you'd like to call into the show, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. I was there over the weekend. Great people, great atmosphere, great gaming bar. I tell you, some of the best meals I've had in Las Vegas. Oh, my God, the chicken Alfredo there is second to none. It's awesome. I had probably the best tuna melt of my life there. Jackson's Bar and Grill, my favorite place. And they've got great gaming promotions as well. Just a super cool place to just sit down, relax, grab a drink, play a little bit, and enjoy a game, whatever the case may be. Say hello to the ownership there, the Slipbox. They're great people, great bartenders, great employees. And my favorite gaming bar in Las Vegas is Jackson's Bar and Grill, again, located at Flamingo and Jones. Check them out. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with your phone calls on the other side. Again, that number is 702-221-7283. Be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fun account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Kelb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
All right, welcome back. Pushing the Limits on Monday. And certainly a lot of topics that we've discussed on this show. A lot happening over the weekend. We got those on the far right that are calling Michelle Obama a man, calling her trans. Obviously despicable. You've got Donald Trump sharing a video on Truth Social depicting Joe Biden as being hogtied in the bed of a truck. And it seems like some people on the right, there's no accountability. They seem to be okay with it. They seem to be incitement of violence, hence January 6th. Sad, really. And then you have people blaming DEI for the bridge collapse in Baltimore and the attacks on the mayor of Baltimore. We're taking your phone calls at 702-221-7283. And again, that number if you want to be a part of the program, 702-221-7283. Why don't we start off this segment with Cyrus, who joins us first on Pushing the Limits here this segment. Hello, Cyrus. Cyrus, go ahead.
It's because it's an absolute
Hello, Cyrus, are you there? Earth to Cyrus. Cyrus. What's Cyrus listening to? Let's see if we could listen to his TV and see what show Cyrus is. Cyrus, what show are you watching? Can we listen in the background? Oh. All right. Well, Cyrus, we'll let you try to figure things out there. Are you there, sir?
Hello?
Yeah, Cyrus, you're there. Where have you been all my life?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was eating. I was actually eating. I'm sorry. I thought you were in commercial
How
break.
dare you? How dare you be eating during my show? How dare you? All right, go ahead. I'm just kidding. Go ahead,
I'm in
Cyrus.
Southern California. It was raining like crazy. So I just wanted to know your take. The largest group of voters in America that votes Republican are, and correct me if I'm wrong, are primarily rural America. We know without the rurals, the Republicans would be really not so existent. I mean, and hence why they're not so strong in Nevada, because there's not that many people that live in rurals.
Yes.
And then we find that the largest group for Democrats is, I think it's unmarried women.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you make of this? You know, women who are not married, likely to go to a university. What do you make of that? Which we don't have a lot of university grads in Nevada either. So
yeah, it's an interesting point. You know, first of all, most women in this country, especially those that are single, believe in the right to choose. So that's a losing cause for Republicans. I think we would all agree on that. I would also say that if there was not an electoral college, Republicans would never win an election. They've lost 6 of the last 7 popular vote. People forget it. Donald Trump did defeat Hillary Clinton, but he still lost the popular vote. Republicans are not winning the popular vote, I guarantee you, in November. It is interesting. So,
but what do you think? I don't think it's just abortion. I think there's a lot of
there's a lot of other
factors
issues.
into
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm just saying abortion is certainly one of them. But no, listen, here's the problem, right? I'm going to, in a nutshell, in the last week, you have Donald Trump, who basically is offending over 70%, I would imagine all Jews, especially 70% of Jews in this country that vote Democrat, when he said you hate your religion and you hate the Israeli government, you don't support the Israeli government, if you vote Democrat. So he's alienating 7 out of 10 Jews, but I would say all Jews would be offended by that statement. And then you have then you have Charlie Kirk, who's offending all Christians who vote Democrat. He said the other day that if you vote left and you vote Democrat, you're not a true Christian. So you have the leader of the Republican Party who's offending all Jews in this country. You have, sadly, one of the puppets for Donald Trump, who's a talking puppet on the right and a racist, Charlie Kirk, who's offending, I would say, a lot of Christians out there. And then they wonder why they lose the popular vote. There you go.
Yeah, well, just because you're, if you vote for a Democrat who's pro-Palestine, you can be Jewish. I mean, that doesn't mean you agree with what the Israeli government is doing.
Right. And listen, I think having some criticism for the Israeli government, I think, is very fair. I think those are very fair conversations to have. I'm not a fan of Benjamin Netanyahu. My opinions on Israel and the conflict are very simplified. And I know it's not a simplistic issue, but I think my opinions are, which is, and I agree with Joe Biden, Israel has a right to defend themselves. Hamas are the ones that broke a ceasefire. This was Israel's 9/11. With that being said, yes, I do believe that Israel has a responsibility for least amount of casualties as possible. We do know that for every, and I think the stats were for every 2 terrorists that are killed, you have 1 innocent civilian that's killed. Now, listen, in war, innocent people are going to die. Doesn't mean that that's a good thing. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. But I think, listen, if people want to have some criticism for the Israeli government, I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with are these anti-Semitic idiots that are protesting and will never call out Hamas. They think Israel's committing the genocide, but you won't hear a peep from them. You won't hear a peep from them criticizing Hamas. Those people are despicable.
Yeah, you helped me connect the dots a little better.
Right.
But I just want to get to a cultural point of view. Like, does that concern you that the marriage rate is declining and we're seeing birth rates go down, and we're seeing a lot of people unhappy with the dating climate, and some men are going overseas, and even the Young Turks is now talking about it. I mean,
well, I think there's a lot of
I
reasons.
think there has to be,
A lot of reasons for that, I think. I think there's a lot of reasons.
No reasons?
No, there's a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
You want to know what my main reason is? I think, it's in dating in general. People forgot how to communicate with each other in person. Since cell phones and now dating apps, people don't. You swipe whether you're attracted to somebody or not. There's little communication and interaction. Everything is over your laptop or over your phone. I think that's one.
I don't
major
know, because I felt like social interactions was going downhill 15 to 25 years ago.
Well,
I'd be honest with you.
maybe, yeah, maybe that might be true.
I mean, things were messed up in 2007, and things were messed up, and it was going downhill. Yeah. But then I guess this is where a lot of people on the right believe that it's just that not everything that's changed from women from the 1960s was all that great. I think that's what their argument they're trying to make.
I don't understand the "Make America Great Again" thing. I agree with you. By the way, thank you for the phone call, Cyrus. I appreciate.
Sure, no problem.
Appreciate you. Stay well there in California. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. We're very divided, so I think it's really hard. First of all, you need to find somebody that you're attracted to. Second of all, you need to mesh well with their personality. Thirdly, at least in my opinion, I think political-wise, it's probably a good thing if you guys agree politically on a number of issues. It's very difficult. Very difficult to not only find somebody that you have a lot in common with and you mesh well personality-wise, and there's an attraction there. There's a lot of things that need to align. And, I am a firm believer there's always somebody out there for somebody, but it's hard, especially in 2024. It's hard, and I'm not going to deny that. So speaking of social issues now, I'm going to speak to something that maybe I would imagine some people on the left would probably disagree with me on this topic, but that's fine. And it's something that relates to sports, basketball, and maybe politics as well. I'm going to start with Caitlin Clark. And if you don't know who Caitlin Clark is, she's women's most high-scoring college basketball player. She's a star in women's college basketball, and I'm sure she'll have a very nice professional career. She sounds like a nice girl. She's a tremendous talent. She's a great player, great scorer, fun to watch. Can we just stop it with comparing women to men in professional sports? Can we just stop? Because it's nonsense. And it's not that I'm disrespecting women by saying this, because Caitlin Clark would whip my ass on the basketball court. She would destroy me. But I'm also not a professional basketball player, right? I'm a radio host. And when people start comparing Caitlin Clark to male professional basketball players, it's embarrassing. Let me be very clear. And this isn't a hate on women's sports or women's basketball or Caitlin Clark, who I think is a great player and fun to watch. Caitlin Clark wouldn't be able to be in the starting lineup on most boys' varsity high school basketball teams. Okay, I said high school. So the idea that Caitlin Clark could be an NBA player is absurd. And, I don't hate a lot of people. I hate Clay Travis. I think he's a despicable human being. But I do agree with what he said today on this issue. So why is it you never hear about transgender men? Someone that is born a woman transitioning into a man, somehow taking over a men's sport. You never hear about that. Why is that? Well, I would say because if you're born a woman, you don't have the same physical abilities that a man has. I think that's a pretty fair statement to make. But yet when somebody is born a man, transition to a woman, they take over a female sport. Hence Leah Thomas, who as a man, as a men's college swimmer, didn't even break the top 400 in the country. But as a female swimmer, all of a sudden skyrockets to number one. Why is that? Did Leah Thomas just work hard over the summer? No. Leah Thomas is a dude who transitioned into a woman, sort of, identifies as a woman, and now is one of the best in all of college women's swimming. So why am I bringing this up? There are a lot of people that are now trying to compare Caitlin Clark to an NBA basketball player, and I think it's wrong, I think it's unfair, and it's ridiculous. And again, it's not because I'm trying to hate on women's sports, because there's plenty of women's sports I watch religiously. Tennis is one of them. I used to go to the U.S. Open every year in Flushing Meadows. I loved watching the Williams sisters. To me, women's tennis is probably the best, in my opinion, the best female product when it comes to sports. And there's also a reason why the women are getting paid almost identical to the men now, because people come out and they watch and they pay for it. And I enjoy watching, the Las Vegas Aces, which is our WNBA franchise here. But let's call it for what it is. For 27 years straight, the WNBA has lost money. That's a fact. Now, you can make every excuse in the book. You could say the WNBA isn't doing a good job in promoting WNBA basketball. You could say that the teams aren't doing a good job in advertising and promote. You could say everything. But could it be possible that maybe the product isn't very good? And maybe there's a reason why, when we even have the WNBA All-Star game here in Las Vegas, it's not sold out. Maybe the product isn't great. I love going to Aces games. Don't get me wrong. They're fun. It's a great family atmosphere. I think you should always bring your kids. And I enjoy covering the team. Really great people. Great people within the organization here. I can't speak to other organizations. Great organization here. Mark Davis does a great job. I love Asia Wilson. It's fun to watch. I enjoy going to games. But I think, and I've talked to most people that are not biased, because there are people that are biased, and then there are people that are honest, right? I talk to college coaches across the country, and I always ask them the question, and they usually laugh at me. And they tell me that, the Las Vegas Aces, a team that, won the WNBA championship last year. You take that team healthy, and there are really good boys varsity high school basketball teams that would beat them. So it's not that I'm going on the air and I'm trying to trash women in sports, because I'm not. Again, a Caitlin Clark would destroy me on the basketball court. She's a phenomenal basketball player, but she wouldn't be able to compete physically with the men. 9 out of 10 of her shots would be blocked in the NBA. She would never see any playing time on a college men's basketball team either. So we have to stop this nonsense of comparing women and men in sports. It's unfair, and it's ridiculous. Now, we have this big game coming up, right? It's Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. Great for women's college basketball. I'm going to be watching the game. It's going to be a lot of fun. It shouldn't be about race, but a lot of people are going to make it about race. Angel Reese has made a name for herself. Why? Well, she's a good college basketball player. She's not like one of the greatest of all time. In fact, she's not even close to that. I don't think she's a very intelligent person. And that has nothing to do with the color of her skin or her basketball on the court. She practically almost flunked out of school. She says a lot of ignorant things. If you recall, she made some incendiary comments about Joe Biden for no reason. And she says a lot of stupid things. Now, the reason why Angel Reese, she won a national championship, I get it. She's a really good college basketball player. She's a champion. But a big part of this rivalry, sadly, people want to make it about race. They want to make it black versus white. Now, I think that's wrong. Caitlin Clark is a great player. She's the all-time leading scorer, and she's going to go down in history. She already has. Angel Reese is a really good basketball player. She's not half the player that Caitlin Clark is. Yes, I understand. Reese has a championship. Caitlin Clark doesn't. I think that's going to change this year, but we'll have to wait and see. But this shouldn't be about race, and it is. This is going to be a highly viewed basketball game. Whether for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, it's going to be a must-watch. And a lot of people are going to be watching it. I'm going to be one of them. I understand that Ice Cube has offered $5 million to Caitlin Clark. $5 million so that Caitlin Clark could play in this 3-on-3. Not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think she'll get destroyed. But it's a lot of money. How many years do you have to play in the WNBA to earn $5 million? She'd have to probably maybe her whole career. I don't know. I love the fact that Caitlin Clark is getting paid by advertisers. I love the fact that the NCAA now allows college athletes to be paid. She deserves it. She's earned it. And if Angel Reese wants an OnlyFans page and Angel Reese wants to make money the way Liz Cambage did, because I see in some ways Angel Reese like Liz Cambage in some aspects, then she has all the right to do that. Go ahead and do it, and I have absolutely no problem with it. But can we please stop the ridiculous, uneducated opinions? Can we please stop comparing women to men when it comes to professional sports. Let's enjoy it. Listen, I grew up in Connecticut where the Yukon Huskies were the team. I grew up with women's basketball. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's nowhere near my favorite female sport to watch. It never has been. And I love basketball. Anybody who knows Brian, I'm speaking in the third person now, I don't know why, but anybody who knows me knows that I have a passion for basketball. I've been around the game my whole life. I love it. I don't watch a lot of women's college basketball, and I probably couldn't name you 10 female college basketball players. And the average sports fan couldn't name you 10 female college basketball players. Because I don't believe, as a whole, the product is very good. I've said it all along. I don't think the WNBA product is the product that some people might claim it is, because if it was, then the league would be making money. The Aces do very, very well. They're a good product, right? They're the champions. They're a good team. The environment is really good. Get a lot of fans into Mandalay Bay and all the power. And I think Mark Davis is a part of that. He chose his coaching staff wisely, got some great players. That's great. But as a whole, the WNBA is not the product that people say it is, because if it was, the league would actually make money. Make no mistake about it. The reason why the WNBA exists is because of something called the NBA and a tax write-off. It loses money every year. And again, I'm not being disrespectful. Some people are afraid to speak out on this, and then there are others that are biased. I cover the Aces, but I'm always going to be honest. I cover UNLV. I'm always going to be honest. I cover sports in general. I'm honest. I love going to Aces games. I have fun. But I'm not going to sit here and lie and compare the WNBA to the NBA, because it's absurd. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say Caitlin Clark should be on an NBA roster. That's absurd. And it doesn't make any sense. And people that make statements like that, they don't know basketball. They have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Listen, I don't like Clay Travis. I think Clay Travis is a bigot. I think Clay Travis is a despicable human being. But I do agree with him on this. There are bad people that sometimes I agree with from time to time with their takes. Clay Travis said something, and some Aces players were very upset. Clay Travis said that, I believe he said, quote, that most really good state champion boys varsity, boys basketball teams would beat the Aces. I agree with him. And there were some Aces players that got very upset by that comment. Listen, you can be upset at Clay Travis. He's a bad guy. Okay, Clay Travis isn't a good dude. He's a bad guy. I'm not going to defend Clay Travis, but I do agree with him on this opinion. And just because somebody makes a statement like that, Clay Travis is a bad guy for a lot of other things he said, but he's not a bad guy because of that statement. Just because I say that Caitlin Clark would have absolutely no chance to be an NBA player doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm chauvinistic. It doesn't mean I hate women, because I don't. It just means I'm being honest. Caitlin Clark is a great player. She's a great female college basketball player. She's the greatest, arguably, of all time. Certainly the point-scoring leader now. She could not make an NBA roster. I would also say she probably would never see any time on a men's college basketball team. Point being, can we just stop comparing the two, because it's unfair to women? I would say it's unfair, and it's absurd, and it's ridiculous. Go watch an NBA Summer League game. You're telling me that Caitlin Clark could even make one of those rosters? Are you on cocaine? I'm looking forward to this game. It's going to be a lot of fun. So tomorrow on the show, we have a young lady who was fired from Starbucks. She refused to use proper pronouns when it comes to transgenders. She lost her job. Her video went viral. And she's agreed to come on the show tomorrow to talk about it. So that's going to be interesting. Hey, do me all a favor, everyone. Subscribe to my YouTube page, at PTL Radio Show. Again, that page is at PTL Radio Show. And Occupy Democrats Network, subscribe on there. It's only $5 a month. You're supporting what I do. You're supporting what they do. And, of course, my email is underneath. I get emails from people that listen to the show from all over the country. I'm very humbled by that. Brian Shapiro at kshp.com is my work email. Go ahead and email me that if you have any type of constructive criticism or question, or you just want to, pay me compliments, which is always nice. I do get those from time to time, too. And I appreciate all of you for joining us. We'll be back at it same time, same place tomorrow. I hope everybody has a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.